Welcome back, gang, to the Tojo Dojo, here for another episode of Pig's Ear in Review, one of the only places where we're talking about what we've been playing, what we've been watching, and for the first time today, where we've been going as well.
Where we've been eating.
Yeah, where we've been drinking, the whole gambit here.
Yep.
If you haven't watched before, make sure to like and comment, subscribe, let us know how you feel. Today, we got a variety of things. We're going to be doing a little bit of a follow-up for Resident Evil 4 with the new Mercenaries mode and just maybe a little bit of spoiler chat as well. I'm going to be talking about the movie The Whale. And then, should we leave it as a surprise for what you're going to be doing, or do you want me to just say it right now?
They're seeing the thumbnail. We got to get the
That's
viewers
fair.
in somehow, haven't we?
That's true. That's fair. We're going to be doing exclusive review for you, your first time visit to Dave & Buster's. So whatever you thought you'd want to know, stay tuned. We're saving the best for last on this one. Okay, so let's just get right into it. So Resident Evil 4, we did talk about it the other week as far as just the general gameplay, but we hadn't finished it by then. So now not only have we both finished it, but now the Mercenaries mode has come out as well. So maybe before talking about Mercenaries mode, as far as finishing the game, did you end up, sounds like, hopefully enjoying it? I think you said you did.
Yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. It's cheesy as anything. You can tell.
Oh, of course.
Made, like, late 90s, early 2000s era.
Yeah, of course.
Sort of like where Japan got really not great voice actors. I think they did a better job. Did a better job in this remake. I've seen clips, but that overacting that games used to do. I love that cheesiness feel to it as well. And the gameplay's fantastic.
Yeah,
the game
so smooth,
so good. Yeah, I struggled at first with not being able to dodge because I came off of Resident Evil 3 before playing it. But at first I was like, how am I meant to dodge all these axes being thrown at me? And I started ducking under them and stuff like that. Once you get a hang of it, it flows so much better.
Yeah, and I think really the only I hesitate to say complaint, because I think the difficulty was pretty good, like consistently good, and I played on standard throughout the whole time. But the one kind of nitpick I will say I have towards the end, there were a few situations that did bug me that were kind of like one-hit kill type of situations, and I feel like that kept happening to me, and I don't know, maybe I just wasn't reading the room, I suppose, and I wasn't getting where I was supposed to go. But there was one or two parts where I died multiple times just because of this one-hit kill, like a boss attacking you type of thing that was kind of annoying. I don't know if that happened to you or not, but it was mainly.
I think one-hit kills in games should be easily avoidable.
I would hope
there at all. It should be a big charge up where you've got plenty of time to get out of the way.
Yeah.
Whereas in a lot of this, there is times where I kind of just resigned myself to the fact I was going to get hit.
Yeah.
And I just had to do enough damage in between that.
Mm-hmm.
If that made sense. Why I don't play Dark Souls.
To be fair, you can at least learn and adapt with those. There was a couple times in this one where I felt like it was just kind of annoying. It only happened a couple times, so it wasn't horrible, but
And I never played the original game as well, so I just went through this, no preconceptions whatsoever.
Sure.
Really, really enjoyed it. There's some stuff where I'm like, how did they pull this off on the PS2? And I'd be curious to go back and see and stuff like that. But I've seen some people say they left stuff out, they added stuff. As far as I'm aware, it's all new to me.
Yeah. I would say nothing of massive importance was left out per se. It was more retooling of certain areas and a couple of streamlining of certain things, with the exception of one thing. So, okay, the character Salazar, that kind of shorter guy who's there coming after you for a decent amount of the game. In the original, when you're in the castle, there's a giant there's a segment where, and I think it might be QTEs if I'm not mistaken, where there's a giant stone statue, imagine a robot Gundam mech, but of Salazar that chases after you. That's like nowhere to be found in this game at all in the remake. But in the original, it's just a stupid, cheesy, like it comes out of nowhere and it's just a giant mech Salazar like coming after you. And I wish they would have kept that for this remake. That's my one complaint of something that they left out.
My main complaint was you actually. You ruined something for me.
I did?
We were both playing this and we were talking about where we were at. And I was like, oh, I just met up with Louise. And you went, every single time he talks, I think of that episode of South Park where I've got to get through to these kids.
How can I reach these kids?
Yeah. Every time he spoke after that, I just was like laughing to myself. I couldn't take anything seriously.
I don't know. And I'm trying to remember from the original one if his accent was a little more over the top.
I have seen a clip. And it is nothing. It isn't like that now.
Okay.
If anything, they went more ridiculous in the remake.
That's what I figured. Because in the original one, I don't I mean, granted, it's been a while since I played the original one, but I don't ever remember his accent being that unusual. But like the first time I heard it in this remake, I immediately went to that Cartman's voice when he says that.
Yeah.
So my apologies, and for anyone else who is about to play this and you hear Louise, try your best not to think of Cartman in that episode. Oh, goodness.
When the original game came out in, I think it was 2005?
4 or 5, something like that, yeah.
I saw like all the reviews it was getting, because that was, at the time, pretty huge. It was like getting 9 out of 10s, 10 out of 10s everywhere.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, like, I've not played the other Resident Evils. Do I need to go back? And I'm such a OCD for, I've got to play through it properly. And I just never play Resident Evil 4. And as I've now gone through the remakes, I'm starting to realise the story does not matter in these games.
Of course they don't. I mean, to be fair, they are connected in a sense, but it's not like they're that connected. You don't have to play the other ones.
I could have played this and not known a thing about any of the other games.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, because for sure.
Even at the end, the post-credits, I was like, who is that? And like Googled, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, cool.
And also, as well, it was the soldier that you fight with the red
Krauser?
beret. I can't remember his name. Krauser?
Yeah, Krauser.
Yeah. He turns up as if like he's been a big part of this series the entire time. And I'm like, was it maybe in Resident Evil 0 or Code Veronica, one of the ones I didn't play? Like, or is he a character I just forgot? So I Google it. First appearance, Resident Evil 4.
Right. Yeah, they definitely play it up like you've had this long-standing kind of relationship. I'm trying to think, because I haven't watched any of the animated movies or anything like that, or any of the live-action ones for that matter. I wonder if that relationship is explored more in one of those animated movies, possibly. I'm not sure.
So yeah, I watched some. I think it was IGN did some video where it was like the biggest differences between the original and the remake.
Yeah.
And they talk about that relationship and whatever, and they said that his character's actually more fleshed out in the remake, they said.
Yeah, yeah.
But they said, like, it is one of those, like, CGI movies they did or whatever.
Okay.
You actually see the thing they're talking about.
Okay, so. Yeah. But yeah, so overall, though, definitely, like, awesome game. I knew I was going to love it, and as expected, I did. But yeah, Mercenaries mode, though, have you played it yet, or I tried it, or no?
No, I've not. I've not even had time to play anything since, because I only beat Resident Evil 4 like 3 or 4 days ago.
Okay.
And I've been pretty busy since.
Okay, got it. So Mercenaries mode was included in the original one, and it's back here again. And then, as you said, I think it's in the second remake, they also included it. I have to say, this is probably my favorite Mercenaries mode, and not only just because it's Resident Evil 4 by design is more action oriented, but the way you unlock things, I don't know if this was conscious or not, if they listened to criticism from 8, but if you recall from Resident Evil 8, my review, because they also have a Mercenaries mode, to unlock all of the other characters, you have to get like a perfect score on all the levels, which is damn near impossible. Like, it was such an unbelievably stupid high requirement. In this one, at least as of now, it's a little bit more limited. So there's 3 stages and 4 characters. You only start off with Leon, but to get each character, you just have to beat one level and get, I think it's an A rank on, and then do it for the next one and the next one. I did each of them on my first attempt. Like, and granted, like I was doing a pretty good run for these, but even if I didn't the first time, I could easily get it again on that next run to unlock these characters. And each of them play a little bit different, have different weapons and stuff like that. You can play as Louise, Krauser, and Hunk, which is another character that doesn't appear.
How do I beat these zombies?
How do I beat them? And it's great. I mean, it's just a fun arcade mode. You basically just shoot as many as you can, and every one you kill, the time like increase. That's all. The time is always counting down. Each one you kill, the time increases by like a couple seconds, or you can get these bonus types of things where it goes by like 30 seconds or whatever. So the whole point is just chaining combos to see how many you can kill and all that sort of stuff. And it's just wave after wave after wave until you're basically done. So it's super fun. It's a fun little way to continue the game. I played it for like an hour or two, and I kind of got my fill. And I don't really need to play it anymore, but there's definitely replayability to it if you like, the action of Resident Evil 4.
Time attack sort of score keeping.
Yeah.
I imagine I've not played it, but I'm sure you can get, like, if you've got friends who have played it, you can like compare your scores, right?
Mm-hmm. I believe there's like a leaderboard type of thing as well. So as of now, like I said, 3 levels, 4 characters. But as we've also talked, I think last time, or it's pretty well known now that the DLC, so to speak, from back in the day is going to be DLC again, or sorry, let me use the old school terms. The expansion pack from back in the day of the extra story content, I believe, is now going to just be DLC, maybe sometime later this year for the story of where you play as Ada and do some other stuff.
For Resident Evil 8 as well. They seem to have this pretty down, don't they? Like, release the game, release them. They're like padding their games out at this point.
Yeah. So I have to imagine it'll come out this year because it wasn't like a sizable expansion last time. So I think it's only like a couple hours worth of gameplay or something. So I imagine it'll be probably the same. But they've also, apparently there's been some data mining of this latest Mercenaries mode where they've already found that they're going to add Ada as a character to Mercenaries and maybe Wesker or something like that. So who knows whenever that comes out, but I'll definitely play it when it does. So yeah, overall, just to sum it up again, great game. I think they nailed it. It's great.
Yeah, I really enjoy it. I still want to carry on with this series now. The thing that's now annoying for me is because what is their next remake? Because
they have
5. Mm-hmm. I don't want to go back and play the original 5.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Okay, I highly doubt they're going to remake 5.
I would be surprised because of how disliked it is.
But it's disliked for, I think, for 2 different reasons. One is the co-op mechanics gameplay. I could easily see them fixing that and making it like really nice and modern. I don't think they can modernize the story without pissing people off again, because people lost their shit when the original came out because of how they portrayed black people in the game. It was like, it apparently didn't go over. Not apparently, it did not go over well with a lot of people. So I don't know how they would do it.
I'm going to skirt around this topic because I'm not knowledgeable about it.
Sure.
I thought the issue was more that a lot of the people you kill were Africans, right? That was the issue. I didn't know that the portrayal in the actual story was an issue. Was it?
I think I think it's more the fact that you're just these. Okay, I don't claim to be an expert on this topic either, but it's essentially you're these 2 characters going in and just mowing down hordes of black people in Africa, and like it's this plague. I mean, and it's a tough one to try and talk about too, because you could argue, well, all the other Resident Evils,
internet sort of like type thing. I remember this at the time. Like, I remember people being angry about it, but because I wasn't into the series, I didn't really know. I'd never saw the trailer or anything. Like, I just remember people being upset about it.
Yeah.
And there's a way they can get around it or change it to be.
I think they could. I guess what I'm saying is, I think they could. but it would have to be. I don't know if it would be a rewrite of the story completely or just a better portrayal of what's going on. I just think they weren't as conscious and mindful of things as they probably should have been. But to be fair, it's a Japanese company that is usually terrible about portraying anything like American like style things or other countries. I feel like with Capcom, like not to say they're terrible, but like it's almost like
and
like exaggerated. Exactly. So I guess to be fair, they could do it, but I think it would have to just be done very carefully is all. So, but that being said, I don't know.
See them going back then and maybe being like, okay, let's sort of learn from this or whatever.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I would like to see it. Don't get me wrong. I think there is fun to be had because I know you said like you might want to play it and we could both play co-op, which I'm still down for, and you can maybe get a little taste for like what I mean by this or what the outrage I guess would have been. But yeah, they could have done it. I would honestly like to see them remake Code Veronica because that one seems to keep getting thrown under the bus in the grand like Resident Evil like timeline a little bit. I feel like it never gets mentioned or the love it gets, but it's an awesome game. It's a really good game. Or maybe Resident Evil 0, I could see them remaking because that also has sort of a not really co-op, but you play as two different characters that you have to swap between. So they could probably update that system a little bit.
I've also seen people online saying they'd like them to do Dino Crisis as well.
Like, yeah. There's just other Capcom games they could remake as well. So
I think the original of that had shared a lot of similarities with Resident Evil, like the engine and stuff like that.
Yeah, that
people are being like very much like, oh, do that with this as well.
Exactly. So who knows? I mean, I'd welcome it if they did 5, but my guess is they'd probably try and do Code Veronica or Zero next. But we'll see. Either whatever they end up doing, I'll definitely still keep playing them. They're doing an awesome job either way. So, but yeah, so definitely check it out if you haven't played it. Highly recommend it. It's a great time for sure. Yeah. Okay, so now. The Whale.
So this is about a guy who spends a lot of money on mobile games, right?
Yeah, this is actually a Moby Dick story, funny enough.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So The Whale. Couple of things to mention before I actually start talking about the movie. So first, I know there's a recent trend of like being on the Brendan Fraser bandwagon. The one thing I will say, I have been a Brendan Fraser fan pretty much my whole life, but not like over the top crazy, like, oh my God, he's like God's gift to earth type of thing, like some people have. But like I started watching him with old classics like Encino Man or Airheads. Have you ever seen that movie? Yeah, stuff like that. My wife loves
Jungle.
Yeah, George of the Jungle. Classic.
That movie,
what else?
I've not seen it in 20 years, but like
we watched it last year actually.
And in my head, it's aged well.
It was great. Yeah, I watched it last year. I think it still holds up. It's a great movie. Highly recommend. The Mummy, some of my wife's favorite movies. I think those are some great movies. And then, of course, he went away for a little. I mean, he still had acting roles over the years, but he was kind of out of the limelight a little bit for all sorts of reasons. And then obviously came back for The Whale. So it was just, in general, I'll say it was nice to see him again. Like I genuinely do like Brendan Fraser. He's just nice dude, great actor. So it was nice to see him again. So another thing I'll say is I watched this at home because it's available. Like I rented it for a few bucks. And there's a theater that I go to normally by me, and it's one of those theaters where they can bring food to you, like not just like popcorn, but like a meal and a beer and stuff like that. And I'll usually do that when I go to see a movie. It's going to sound terrible, but thank God for this movie in particular, I did not do that. I didn't eat anything while watching this movie.
I told you that my local theatre, the only screens they were showing it in were the dine-ins. And I don't really 100% know the whole full story of what this is about, but I read the synopsis. It's like a obese man who's dying from being obese. Right. And I was like, I'm not sure I'm going to want to dig into my chicken tenders.
Well, that's what I was saying, because like I knew what the movie was about, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure I don't want to eat anything while watching this movie. Just like, and I was correct. Don't eat anything while watching this movie, not because it's gross, but like that's what this movie is about. So to now get into the movie itself, yes, it's a very simple premise. Brendan Fraser's character, Charlie, I believe is his name. it starts off, he's a online teacher for writing and English classes, but anytime he does teaching, he leaves his camera off because he doesn't want people to look at him. And that's because he's a very obese man, 600 pounds, can barely walk, and he's just in his apartment. And so it's a story about how just he got to that point, like what triggered it. I won't spoil it here, but not great circumstances. A surprise thing that I wasn't expecting is there's some interesting religious elements in commentary on it, which I didn't think was going to be part of it. And I thought it was a nice, interesting way of like, there were some characters trying to help him with like religious stuff and how that can affect people and all kinds of positive and negative things that go along with that. So it was just an interesting element that I don't think you really see in the trailer. So it just kind of took me by surprise for a minute. But it's really like what was interesting about this movie was like, I didn't really look up anything about it before watching, other than, like the headlines about it and stuff like that. But when I was watching it, to me, it kind of looked like it was a play almost, because it's essentially in one setting the entire movie. Like, you're in this apartment with him and that's basically it. I think other than maybe one scene where it takes place outside, the rest of it, the entire movie is basically in this apartment. And I looked it up online and I didn't realize, I knew it was based on something, but I didn't realize it was based on a play originally from like a decade ago. So that's why, like, when you watch this movie, I don't know if this was intentional or not, but it kind of seems like a play because it's like this one stage and that's where everything happens, other than maybe a couple little minor side scene type of stuff. So, and that didn't like bother me or anything. Like, if people are looking for a more like diverse movie where they go all kinds of places, that's not what this is. It all just takes place kind of in just this one setting.
Like, some of my favorite movies of all time, like these are older movies, granted, but like 12 Angry Men, fantastic.
Yep.
Rear Window, the Hitchcock movie, and both of those take place in like a room.
Yeah. So I mean, if it's done well, that's fantastic, and I think this movie does do it well. It makes, I would say, really good use of the space, and then there's little hints of like how his life got to where he was, based off things that are in this apartment. But yeah, I mean, this movie is fucking gut wrenching. Like, it is so. I don't know. It's weird because yes, it's of course sad, but there's also happy moments and just more like, not really uplifting per se, but like just he's trying to find some positives about his life. And the main like emotional part is he's trying to reconnect with his daughter that he had years ago. And it's played by Sadie Sink, who was in Stranger Things, who plays Max. And she does an awesome job in this movie as well. She's really, really good. I mean, really, there's probably like 4 actors in the whole movie, honestly, maybe 5. So like, it's a really small cast.
She's good, Sadie Sink. She's one of the better actors in that Stranger Things show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've really enjoyed her in that, and I don't know if has she been in other stuff other than Stranger Things and The Whale. I have to imagine she has.
In like one of the Taylor Swift music videos, the one that was like got nominated for like a short Oscar or something.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's good in it too. And it's really just about, I think, eventually the movie kind of turns into their relationship as opposed to just Charlie. But yeah, like, it's just him trying to reconcile with the fact that he's basically dying. Like, it starts where he basically has like a week left to live, but it just gets worse and worse and worse. And then there's some of the scenes where he's eating, and that's what I'm saying. Like, don't eat anything while watching this movie. It's just painful to see of like what he's going through and how it's an addiction. It's very clearly an addiction. Like, if you get to that point, how else could it not be?
Yeah, I remember watching a documentary about a guy who was like 400 or 500 pounds or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even know if I'd describe it as an addiction. It just seemed like they were depressed. And but it seemed like this was I don't want to say, make this sound mean or anything, but a weird way about going about suicide.
Oh yeah, sense. No, that they touched on that in this movie.
Yeah, and it's just like, not to play up or play down suicide in any way. But
sure.
Some people will go very different ways about it, but these seem like people who are just like, they're punishing themselves.
Exactly.
It's horrible.
Yeah. No, it's definitely depression fueled addictive behavior for like without question. There's definitely interaction between those two illnesses essentially, and there's definitely a part of the movie. There's a really tough part of this movie to watch where exactly that he's essentially trying to just end his life essentially early by eating like everything he can in one night. And I was like, God damn, I had to like do this because I'm just like, this is hard to watch at times. But which goes to show like he's doing like Brendan Fraser, the actor, not the character, is just doing a really good job of like portraying it. And I was even watching a little bit behind the scenes stuff online, him talking about it. I mean, he actually wore this massive suit, and it was like a true physical challenge for him to just walk just around in it like during the movie. Like he really I don't know if it was actually 600 pounds, but it was definitely like massive, like a huge weight on his body is what he was saying. So, and he, like I said, did a great job. He won an Oscar, so clearly like he did something right for sure. But yeah, this was just such an odd movie to watch. Like it was very clearly depressing, but there was some levity in the movie, which was nice to see. It's it's not a feel good movie, that's for sure. But like I don't know. I don't really. I think different people will get different things out of this movie for how like what they take away from it. I'm sure there's people who look at this and go like, "What the fuck is wrong with him?" They probably don't feel sorry for him at all, and they go like he's a piece of shit. But then there'll be other people who can like identify with that problem and go, yeah, like I've been there. So I mean, I don't think you have to be 600 pounds to identify with him, but it's just interesting to watch either way. So I would definitely give it a thumbs up. I would very much recommend it, but I would say it's a hard watch at times. Like, don't go in expecting like at the end everything's great and he comes out only weighing 100 pounds after surgery and like he's great now. Like that's not how this ends. I'm not going to tell you how it ends, but it's not great depending on how you look at it.
Told you have a week to live. There's not many great ways it can go.
Yeah, exactly. I hesitate to say it's completely negative, but it's not all positive either. So definitely, I know, like I said, there's this huge hype with Brendan Fraser now. He obviously won an Oscar, and I'm sure people are saying this is like the greatest movie ever. It's not, but I think it's very much well worth watching for sure. Like I would absolutely watch this movie. And don't eat while watching it. That's my last thing I'll say.
Put the Oreos back. Save that for when you watch the Mario movie.
Yeah, put the Sour Patch Kids away. Don't get a Coke or a Diet Coke. Maybe get a water while you're watching. That's probably all you really need for this one. So give it a shot and let us know what you think. But okay. The last, but certainly not least, important thing, I will turn it over to you to give us your thoughts.
So I went for the first ever time, because we don't have these back in England, to Dave and Buster's, a American establishment. I think you once told me it is the centerpiece of democracy in this country.
Look, you find no better place of debate and politics than Dave and Buster's.
I think I said to you the other day, I've not really been to an arcade in a long time.
Sure.
At most, I've maybe walked, but you know, like in hotels, sometimes you're in and they have a little arcade room with like 4 machines.
Yeah.
And but you walk past it, you never actually like really go in.
Sure.
And you're just like, you'll look and be like, oh, they've still got a crazy taxi machine or something.
Yeah. You know? Nice. I mean, I would love that. But
yeah. But you just keep going. You keep moving.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is the first time I've actually like played in an arcade, and I reckon 15 years.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. And the thing I found most shocking, and I remember saying this to you, is how modern some of the games are.
Mm-hmm.
There was a Halo game. There was a Tomb Raider game.
Mm-hmm.
A Mario and Sonic at the Olympics for 2020.
Yep.
Which... I mean, COVID screwed that over more.
Right, yeah. Slightly outdated now.
I mean, the issue was, is like, not only did the Olympics get cancelled, so did the machine with all the buttons you had to touch and share with people.
That's true, too.
Yeah. That screwed a lot of things over. But I said to you, this is weird. It's not... I follow video games a lot. I'm interested in the business of video games and stuff.
Right.
Like in our Discord, I'm always posting like news about video games.
Yeah.
I find it interesting. But all these machines exist that I had no idea about. And I said to you, it feels like streamers. Like, I don't follow streamers.
Sure.
And then you hear people have 3 million followers, and I'm like, who?
Right. That happens quite a lot for me, too.
Yeah. Yeah. And I found it quite fun. Like, there's a Luigi's Mansion machine.
Yeah, that's probably one of my more favorite modern ones because I like Luigi's Mansion a lot. And I remember I played that a couple of years ago, and I loved it.
Yeah. And it's... you know what's great as well, being an adult as well, is just having a few drinks and going with some friends.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And we've also talked like barcades now are a little bit more common, which are kind of its own separate thing to Dave & Buster's. But yeah, for anyone who doesn't know Dave & Buster's, it's like part arcade, part like bar restaurant. But they also have other stuff like pool tables and like, you know, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, they
had
air hockey and stuff. My wife was very upset that they didn't have skee-ball.
Really? They didn't have skee-ball?
Yeah, no, they didn't have skee-ball.
You know what? I wonder if the whole ticket machine games, are those starting to go away, or did you still see a decent amount of them?
No, so what you do is you give you like a little credit card style thing, right?
Oh,
you,
true.
Like, press it on like the machine because you load it up with your credits, right? Mm-hmm. And we had like 750 credits or whatever.
Ooh, high roller over here.
Hey, when I go to Dave & Buster's, I roll out the red carpet.
Hell yeah.
But you go up and it's like, this game's 10 credits, that game's 5 credits. And you press it,
sure.
And then once you're done with the game, it's like, you earned this many credits. And then at the end, we went in and, like, you know, I'll get into that part later.
Okay, all right.
And that's it, you go. But here's the main complaint I have about Dave & Buster's. The amount of broken machines.
All right.
Right. So we went with some friends, right? And I was like trying to find all the 4-player games because I was like, it's not as fun for people when 2 people are playing and someone else is watching or whatever.
Sure.
And they had this Tomb Raider game, which was like a light gun game. So, put the card down. The 2 on the right weren't working.
Oh.
We didn't realise though, and we're trying to put the cards on. And 2 of us already are like clocked in, and we're like, okay, like just 2 of us will play this then.
Sure.
Already spent the money or whatever.
May as well.
All these games are built for the maximum amount of people as well, because guess what? The amount of wolves that attack you is still the same, but you've got half the people shooting them.
Yeah, you're just fucked.
Yeah. But there was quite a few machines that were broken. We went up to like the basketball hoops. And like we couldn't, like it was broken, but luckily our friend is like 6'7", so just reached over and picked out the basketballs and just started like shooting them anyway for free.
That's funny. I usually like those basketball ones; those are fun.
Yeah. But no, like now as an adult as well, like you remember when you'd bug your parents for like money to play the games, and they'd be like no, and then like 20 seconds later you come back and ask for more.
Yeah.
As an adult now, you're like, these things are a rip-off, aren't they?
I get it now. I finally makes sense.
Like, we played, like, the Halo game, where it's all 4 of you, like, got these big Gatling guns, right?
Sure, yep.
And we're shooting, and, like, it was 2 minutes. 2 minutes we played, and then it's like, oh, scan in for more. And we're all like, no, it's fine, whatever, move on. But you think between the 4 of you, you've probably just dropped, like, $10 there.
Right. Yeah. See, okay, that's the thing how they get you with the whole credit system is, yes, you pay money to get them, but then once you're spending them, you kind of like, usually, at least for younger kids, you forget, like, how much money am I actually dropping for these games? It's like $1, $2, $3. But no, they're credits. They're credits. Yeah. It's not dollars.
There was one game I really wanted to play, but we couldn't because it was called DDR. Right? I'm sure you've heard of this game.
I heard of this game. You know those videos, really quick, hold on, I have a DDR thing. You know, back in the day, those videos, this is old internet of all the fat kids, speaking of, playing DDR and losing weight. Yeah, that was basically me. I was like the poster child for that back in the day. So I'm very familiar. I have DDR at home as well. Not like an actual machine, but like, the home console
all,
games.
Serang mats.
Pretty much. Oh yeah, they're garbage, but I have them. I love them.
So we're walking around, and there's this guy on the machine, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's got he's doing the thing. Someone's serious about DDR when they
because he's going like this.
Oh,
I'm familiar with the technique.
You're like, okay, this guy's serious. But not only that, he had a towel over the.
He had a towel. I knew you were going to say that. He had the towel. Yes, obviously.
And
come on.
His shirt was like a sports workout shirt, like what you'd like from Under Armour in the gym.
Yeah.
But it had the arrows.
That's my kind of guy right there. That's perfect. Right? I love it.
And I'm like, oh, okay, this guy's like playing.
He's a professional.
Right? And I'm like, I'm not going to go play next to this guy.
Right.
There's me who wants to play Cotton Eye Joe on easy. So I'm like, whatever, right? This was like 7 o'clock when we first get there. Right?
Sure.
So anyway, we go around.
11
p.m. he is still there.
Jeez, how much money has he fucking dropped on this?
Honestly, the fact that he's that kitted out and everything, I legit think in this day and age with the internet, you could probably find a used DDR machine online, set it up in the garage.
So funny enough, because I was considering doing this now that I have a little bit more space in my basement, what you can do, there's a PC program called Stepmania, which is essentially just a free version of DDR where people will upload all the packs from the original DDR games, but just for this game. And I've seen online people, like third-party manufacturers, have made metal pads where you can just hook up to your PC, and they're like a couple $100, but it's like a really nice metal pad, and people will just do that. I've legitimately considered doing that for my basement potentially. I'll let you know when I do.
Yeah. But I was like, mate, there's kids here as well. Let other
that too. Like, come on. Don't be a dick. Like, let people play.
Yeah, it's like, we played like Daytona USA, which I love and stuff, right? And everyone's like, oh, that's good. Should we play again? And you look around and there's like a dad with his kid and you're like, nah, come on, let's move on to the next.
Yeah. Like, fuck them. Like, get out.
Just stay on Daytona all day.
No.
And when people ask if like I can get up, I just start screaming the song. But no, that I was like, that's the thing as well. I'm like, come on, mate. Like, I know you're into it and it's your thing, but like, there are other people here that just want to have fun.
Right.
Like, come on. But so that was it. 4 hours there. And apparently we had 1,100 points at the end of it.
Okay.
So we go into the shop.
And you bought one gummy bear?
Well, there was two couples. And they also had about 1,100 points.
Okay.
Our friend, she's obsessed with these Squishmallow things.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Apparently that's 7,000 points.
That's a lot.
Yeah, I'm like... I'm sorry, we're going to have to rule that out. Now, how much do you think for a Oculus Rift?
Okay, the Squishmallow 7,000? 20,000? 30,000?
I think it was 120,000.
Jesus Christ. I mean, just buy one at that point.
You spent $75 for 1,000 points.
Right. Yeah. Just buy one. I mean, because like you have to think, even if there's those ticket games where they're like high payout or points, you have to get like super lucky on those. Usually like the chance games. I don't know if there's any skill based games that are high point value, because I feel like that could be exploited pretty easily, but there might be.
There's some where it's like, the light goes in a circle, and
right.
One that's like 1,000, but it's like, you got to have like the reflexes of a cat to get it.
Right. And even then they'll probably fuck you over where you press it, but it like pushes you one over. Bastards.
Yeah. No, we ended up walking out with a plush about this size. I wish I brought it in of Mario.
Okay. Well, that's something.
Yeah, because it was like a couple of days before we went to see the Mario movie, and I was like, oh, it's just, that's about the most substantial thing we can get. And if we got anything else, like anything worse than that, was legit like a lollipop.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I was just like, at least we can like put that on a shelf and say that
we earned that. See, 30 years from now, you show your grandkids, I'll tell you what I earned 30 years ago.
With it? No.
No, it's a collectible.
$75.
I died for this.
I should put it on eBay for $75 if I can get my money back.
Yeah, that's the value. That's how much you paid for it. Yeah, it's been a long time since I've been to a Dave and Buster's. I mean, I remember it must have been like 8 or 9 years ago at this point because we have one in town as well, and I enjoyed it for sure. It's just it's not something I necessarily go to a lot.
It's expensive for what it is.
Mm-hmm.
All things we got some beers, we got some food and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
For two of us, we probably dropped over $200.
Yeah,
going. It is pricey, and especially we got an Uber after as well. That probably ramped out to 300.
Yeah,
there and back. It is fun. I think you got to go with some friends and stuff.
Yeah,
I know not everyone on the internet has friends.
Good clarifier.
Yeah, unless you're really into DDR and just want to take the machine up all day.
Exactly.
But no, it was fun. As someone who loves video games and stuff, I'm not like itching to go back, but it's certainly something I can imagine doing like once every year or two.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, like you didn't have a bad time by any means, but as you're saying, it is expensive. It is a lot to consider when you could spend that money on playing games at home by yourself.
and here's the thing where it's kind of a shame that arcades are in the state they're in is that when we were kids, like my local arcade weren't really an arcade. It was like 6 machines in a bowling alley, right?
Mm-hmm.
And every year we went in for like a birthday party or something else, those machines changed.
Sure.
It would be like the newest and greatest thing. And everyone talks about it and it sounds so like arbitrary to say now, but like that was where you saw new technology. Like it was better than the stuff you was getting at home. Whereas now, not the case so much. But I know if I go to Dave & Buster's in 2 years, they might change one machine.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think it would be cool if they were able to gut like 75% of it every couple of years.
Yeah, but they're so damn expensive, I'm sure now, like especially because in the past it was just your typical stand-up like fighting racing game, but it's basically the same arcade cabinet.
I didn't see any fighting games apart from one, and it was an Injustice one. I was surprised.
Interesting.
By that. Okay. Like Street Fighter or anything like that. It was some like Injustice game.
Yeah, because I guess that's maybe more reserved for like retro arcades or maybe more specific fighting game type of situations. It seems like
Street Fighters and stuff now.
There are, but I still feel like that's still kind of I want to say it's niche per se because the fighting game community is pretty big, but I don't think people would go to Dave & Buster's to play those. They would go to like a barcade specifically for that stuff. Is my impression. Like I still like when I think of Dave & Buster's, I'm still thinking of like what you're saying of like a couple of adult couples going to play all kinds of games, or maybe still some family stuff during the day. Like I don't envision too many kids playing Street Fighter like in the arcade now, so I can't blame them. I know there's some
outside the Dave & Buster's we actually hit kids.
Oh yeah, that's where we throw down. I think there a couple of years ago there was a new House of the Dead arcade cabinet that came out. I wonder if they had that there.
That was there, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So there's still some fun to be had, and yeah, I mean now you may have motivated me to go check one out in the coming weeks or month because it's just been so long since I've been to one. I'll have to maybe check it out though. But it sounds like though verdict, you enjoyed it.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up. Okay, I'm glad to hear. So up next, we'll be both visiting Chuck E. Cheese, obviously.
That one I will not be going with friends. I will just go with my own.
Just observe.
Creeper.
Yep. Make sure to bring your trench coat, of course. The binoculars sit in the back. That's how you got to do it. Well, no, good. I'm glad you enjoyed this American staple, this institution of democracy across the land, this great nation.
It made me proud to live in America.
I'm expecting you now to open up your shirt and have a tattoo of an American flag, bald eagle, right here. You're now a convert.
I don't want us to get demonetized.
Oh, okay, that's right. Yeah. That's for the Patreon. Subscribe after. You'll see that unedited clip.
OnlyFans.
OnlyFans, obviously. Well, cool. Good. I'm glad. So I had a bit of a variety here, like I said. So definitely check out Resident Evil. That's not a shocker. Check out The Whale. Once again, don't eat anything while watching it. You'll thank me for that one. And then Dave & Buster's, check it out if you got one near you, or if you have similar institutions around you. I think anything you can do to keep arcades, I think, alive is a good thing. I definitely want to see them continue in some capacity, so it's nice to see. But yeah, so with that, I think that'll do it. Let us know what you think. What's your favorite Dave & Buster's game? What do you think of Mercenaries mode? Let us know. And then until next time, we'll talk to you then. See you later.
Bye.